Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feedback bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge sent us podcast. Hey.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Sent Us podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And I'm Sweetie with a Y.
Hello.
Sup.
Not to brag, but this is our third week in a row podcasting, and I just really feel like we've hit our stride.
We're back.
We're back, baby. Yeah, so that's exciting. We're not going to talk about it anymore, but, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's true. We need to stop
did
saying
it.
it.
Okay, so my choice this week really threw out a lot of different options today on what I wanted to cover. Here's some of the ones I threw out that I didn't choose. Crocodile Dundee 2. Want to do it eventually. Just wasn't feeling it. Still want to do Project X, this movie with Matthew Broderick and a chimpanzee. Not available to stream. Good thing I looked it up.
Oh, wow.
Only
It's the first time
DVD.
that's ever happened.
Still hoping, because we had that luck with Mannequin, that Space Camp would also come up to stream.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be soon.
Nope.
I'm telling you. As soon
Nope.
as you start taking out the big guns and getting the DVDs, the stream people are like,
I
okay,
know.
they're serious about
I
this.
know.
They put it on.
They know.
So, yeah, don't worry.
I threw around weird science in my mind. I'm like, maybe,
Whoa.
felt adjacent to Mannequin and that, female objectivity thing. But
Great.
wasn't really feeling it for International Women's Day. Romancing the Stone. Thought about that one. Do want to do that one eventually. Okay. Yada, yada, yada. Here's what I decided on. I'm going on vacation as of Friday. So I was thinking vacation movie. What could this be? What could this be? And then what popped into my mind was the 1994 classic, My Father the Hero.
The hero. Wow.
Classic
Because-
or
yeah, also a good choice for International Women's Day.
inappropriate. Yeah, this is not an International Women's movie. It is sketchy as fuck. It would never be able to be made right now
No.
in these times, in this climate.
It's in my top 5 weirdest movies of all time I've ever seen. With Eraserhead and then this movie.
Brutal.
Just highly disturbing, and especially knowing what we know now and the fact that she was literally 14 years old when she filmed this is just really upsetting to me.
I know.
She had her first on-screen kiss with that actor and he was 22.
No, and I hope that doesn't happen anymore, and we'll talk about it, but I just felt like 14 was a really too young age for the
still a
plot
child.
line of this movie. 14 is very, very young. And Katherine Heigl, who plays the lead, is a very model-looking, beautiful 14-year-old.
But still,
I'm telling you right now, I did not look like that at 14 years old.
No, but
most of us do not.
She was well groomed, but she was not developed as you would expect.
And she
18-year-old to
she
be.
had a
She
young
looked
face.
She looks like a kid to me.
She did.
And that's I think what really was really upset me.
Oh, totally.
I mean, many more things too.
Oh, many
but
more things.
We'll talk about them.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But okay, so my history with this movie is that I feel like it was our sister Liz, who was 4 years older than me, so she would have been 1994. She would have been in high school when this movie came out. And I feel like it was talked about. It was this funny comedy. The guy love interest is really hot, and it was this movie that she liked and thought was funny. So me, being the younger sister in 6th grade or whatever, was ooh, so cool. Yeah, this movie's so cool, blah, blah, blah. Not totally getting all of it, I'd probably say. And then, yeah, it was just kind of and this guy, and it's kind of slapsticky in some ways, and I don't know. I'm just thinking it's like hot guy romance. That's why like high school girls were into this movie. That's my only excuse.
I guess I only remember. I remember like walking into the living room, and this is when the living room was like in the addition part of our house. So like we got an addition at some point, and like our living room switched between like the old part of the house and the new part of the house. You know, so like when the living room was in the new part of the house, I just like had this memory of like walking into that room, and you were watching this, and I was like, "What is this?" And you were like telling me about it, and I was like, "Oh!" And then I was just kind of like bored with it. So I would have been in like 3rd grade or whatever, and that's all I remember. So it's very interesting now knowing that like you heard the word from Liz, I heard the word from you, and like the chain continues, man. But
it's like hand-me-down clothes. We just keep passing it down.
Yeah. And obviously, like, Katherine Heigl is one of my faves, was in the incredible Wish Upon a Star.
Which was before or after this?
After. She was much older than that. She was, like, actually 18 or
18.
17.
Oh, yeah, because she's a senior. Okay, yeah. This is, I think, one of her first movies when she was, like, a big star, and then obviously went on to Grey's Anatomy and, Knocked Up and, like, all that stuff, and then had that sort of downfall, and then it kind of came back up. I think she's on the rise again. So My Father the Hero, 1994, starring Gerard Depardieu, greatest name to say, French actor who was like pretty big in the 80s and 90s. He was like the French actor du jour, and he's really interesting looking fella, I'd say. And he's cast in these like romantic comedies through like the 80s and 90s. He's known for this movie called Green Card with Andy McDowell. That's kind of the main one he's known for from the 80s, where, just like it sounds, like he's French and marries this girl for the green card or whatever, and then I think they fall in love. But he was also in like French adjacent films, American ones, Man in the Iron Mask.
Wasn't he in Bogus?
Okay, so he's in Cyrano de Bergerac, but Bogus is the one I remember. I was describing this to Sweet-Eyed Jimmy in the car, the plot of Bogus. Oh my God, it's adorable. So it stars Haley Joel Osment and Whoopi Goldberg. Haley Joel Osment's parents die in a car crash or something, and Whoopi Goldberg is the friend and adopts him, and Bogus is his little imaginary friend. Oh my God. Right. We'll watch that one eventually. So adorable. But so Gerard Depardieu, interesting looking fella, super French guy, and was the star. Okay, so this movie is totally wackadoodle, and I'm going to blame it on the fact that it was a French movie based on a French movie, like most wackadoodle American movies are. Stuff passes differently there. Stuff is just treated a little 100%. Bit differently. And that they thought they could and I think it did okay once it came here, but it's just, I can't believe they think the parallels will really work. But anyway, he played the same character in the French version, and that one came out like 1991, so a couple years before this one. But yeah, got a lot of Gerard.
I'm glad they've always done that bullshit. I always thought it was like a more recent phenomena of like redoing a movie in another language into English, just because stupid Americans aren't going to watch a good film.
I know.
In a different language, but I guess they've always done that, so that's somewhat comforting.
I know, it makes me embarrassed to be an American. Like the one that really sticks out was the girl with the dragon tattoo. How they like that the real Swedish foreign one came out, and then the American one came out like the next year, and I was like, are you serious? Like,
I mean, it was like 3 years after, but it was like, again, like just we all know the plot now. Yeah. If you didn't read the book, you probably looked it up. Just like get over it.
It just seems ridiculous. And that
get a new action movie
because they have to spend so much money buying the rights and all that. I mean, this is crazy shit, that movie business. Okay, so Katherine Heigl, as we already talked about. The heartthrob in this is played by Dalton James, who, did you recognize him from 90210, sweetie?
Well, that name I recognized. Wait, is he
Look it up.
Turned wife of, turned beaten up pushing Donna Martin down the stairs guy?
I mean, he was in one season, so scan your brain.
What's his character's name?
I don't know. Look it up. Dalton James.
What's his name?
Dalton James. Yeah.
What kind of fucking rich ass name is
No.
that?
As Sweetie said, he plays a 17-year-old love interest of Katherine Heigl in this, and he was actually 22, so sketchy. Really wish they wouldn't do that. Like, find a 17-year-old, you creeper people. Lauren Hutton is the mom of Katherine Heigl in this. And then you have sort of smaller roles, but important, of Stephen Tobolowsky, Ned Ryerson, as like a guy at the resort, annoying as usual. And then a little cameo by the beautiful Emma Thompson, who you think you're just going to hear as like a voice on an answering machine, but then you see her at the end.
You're like, why did they waste Emma Thompson's time to do this answering machine bit? And then it is her. It was so fun. But for a second, I thought it might be Natasha Richardson. And I was like, oh, no, like sad. But it was Emma. Yeah. But yeah, great, weird cast. Weirder plot. I think we should just talk about it, I guess. Get it out in the open.
Did you confirm your 90210 guy?
Kind of. I just like kind of forget what that character looks like, so I have to be like Mark Reese 90210.
It's gonna come back to you.
I've had the worst memory today. I'm just really freaks me out. I know everything usually. He's just like some like business loser chum. Never mind. No, he had a line. Don't call my car phone as like a diss. Good one.
Good one. Okay, cool. All right, so that means it is time for the Sweetie Synopsis. Yeah,
sweeties.
Thank heavens for little girls. Little girls get bigger every day.
Veto. Ew. Like, really gross. Okay, so let's see. Who do you want to talk about? Nikki, what's her last name?
Were there last names?
I don't know. Nikki, no last name, is a 14-year-old teenage girl who has just decided she is 14 going on 21. She gets picked up by her French father, Andre, and so just like for the record, I hate saying my own name for some reason, and I think it's because like when I was little, I would say my name and people would either like I would mumble it and people not be able to understand me, or B, they didn't think that was really they were like, I must have misheard. I thought I heard you, like, or whatever. So I feel like I've always had this weird like expectation of misunderstanding when I say it, and so I always feels like it comes out like marbles.
Do you want to call him Andy, like Stephen Tobolowsky calls him?
Andy. Makes him less creepy. Andy. Andy, her French father, comes to pick her up for like a summer getaway, and they never specify where it is. I thought it might be Bermuda, and I looked it up, and I was right. It was, they filmed it there. But they never mentioned it on purpose.
I read the Bahamas.
Sorry. Yes, that's what I meant. I always mix those two up. Yeah. And so whisk her way. She's immediately.
What do you think the situation is like at home and with the mom? Like, what was your vibe? What vibe were you getting when you picked her up?
They throw out various clues throughout of like he pops in like once a year or something.
So he lives in Europe. Sounds like.
Oh yeah, lives in France with a woman named Isabel. And, comes back infrequently to see his daughter, that kind of vibe. And they live in this, like, posh New York.
She's rich bitch, apartment. For sure. And seems like the relationship with the ex-wife is pretty bad, the Lauren Hutton character. And so that's kind of like a weird situation. And, he just doesn't see his daughter that often. So when she walks in, he walks into the apartment. She's like, well, Nikki's changed a lot since the last time you saw her. Wink, wink. She's a woman now.
She's got boobs now.
She's got boobs.
Girl grows a tiny pair of boobs, thinks she's on top of the world,
Yep.
So this girl is like confidence up her wazoo, like calling her mom a bitch, like crazy shit that like I feel like men who are writing things about teenage girls always have to put something like this in there, right? And like I wasn't like that. Sweetie wasn't like that. Our older sister was a little bit like that, but like still, it's like the majority I feel like of girls are not acting as volatile as usually is portrayed in movies and TV shows.
Teenage girl stereotype.
What?
Teenage girl stereotype.
Yes. Totally. Anyway, so she's off to the Bahamas with her dad. Immediately annoyed when they get there because she thinks she's the only young person around. There's just old people crawling everywhere with old people. Although it's not, it is also crawling everywhere with like 20-something young men. So I guess what she meant by that was just like there's no kids. But I didn't think she classified herself as a kid.
Yeah.
So
or like no other teenagers, and all the 20-something men are work there, right? They're not like staying there. It really was like an old people getaway.
Yes, but then like throughout
area,
the movie there were kids and like other younger people like in the background. So I was like, oh, they didn't like continuity or whatever. Anyways, so she's pissed about that. Immediately, any man within the vicinity of Nikki is stopping dead in his tracks and being like, "Oh my god!" Like, girl is cute, but like she's not like stop dead in your like. Why? It was just like so unreal to me that just like happening over and over again. And I know it was them trying to make a point of like, I don't know. She's not a young girl anymore or something like that, but like she is, and so like that's where it like really freaks me out.
But I mean, she does look older. She dresses very, like I would say, very older, like more like someone in their 20s. But then you also have this dynamic of her seeing her dad flirting or talking with women and also being jealous. So you have this sort of weird dynamic where the dad is being protective, and any guy talking to her, you know, he's like, what are you doing? Stop talking to my daughter. But then he talks to any woman and she gets like a little bit weird too.
But she set him up with that woman, the Diana
No, I'm
woman.
talking about the one at the airport. He's like talking to the woman.
Oh, I forgot about
and
that.
She
that was so
flips
weird.
out at him. And it's their whole dynamic is very strange. You're like, what is going on with this couple?
Are they in love? So yeah, she's like wearing a white thong bathing suit at the pool. Give me a fucking break. So like the thing that is most
you would never pack that on a vacation with your dad.
No,
I'm sorry,
with your father. So yes. So number one, you know that men wrote this movie because this is never at all 1,000% how a teenage girl's life is at 14 years old. Even the hottest girl, and I say hot like in quotation marks because I don't think anyone can really be considered hot when they're 14. Right. Even the prettiest girl in your class had some insecurities and was uncomfortable in some way, probably in her body, because 14 is, wow, let me tell you, it's one of the most awkward times of your life. Like it may not seem like it in the moment, but if you look back, you're like, whoa, like that was rough. So it was just so unbelievable to me that this girl would wear a white thong bathing suit. I don't even wear a thong bathing suit now. And like my butt's pretty fine, but like, you know, like no one would do that. No teenage girl would do that. I just don't believe it. So that just bummed me out right away.
And like, I mean, I'm going to say it again. You're not showing your bare ass to your father on vacation. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, and that's why too. Like you're insecure and you're with your dad, which like, ew, gross, dad.
I don't want my dad seeing my ass cheeks
anywhere fucking near you.
Yeah,
in
near my bare ass
like,
cheeks. I'm not a baby anymore. You're not seeing my bare ass cheeks.
It's so weird. So, anyway, so she meets this cute boy. She's like sitting out looking over the rocks, you know, just like taking a gaze. And then wouldn't you have it, this cute boy strolls up snorkeling and is like, hey. She tells him that she's 17 or 18 or something at first.
18.
And then later admits, oh, actually, I'm 16. And that guy I'm here with is actually, he's my lover. Like, he's my boyfriend.
If I don't know if you remember this, but she does not say that. He suggests it. Like, he jumps to the conclusion that is her boyfriend, and she just doesn't deny it. I'm like,
okay, yeah, right.
Why?
He kind of asks it like,
yes.
And I was having like, I was like putting myself in that position. if I was talking to a guy I thought was cute and he was like, "Who's that? Your boyfriend?" to my father, Ron Dumas, I would have been like, "What? Ew!"
Exactly.
Like I would have immediately reacted in a way that was like it would have just come out like verbal, like diarrhea. Like I would have been just like, "What the fuck? No, gross!" Like it would be a reaction like that. No girl. If she was a daddy's girl, if she was didn't like, I don't care who you are and what kind of relationship you have with your father. No girl is gonna say, "Oh, is that your boyfriend?" to your father. Yes, that is my lover. Like, oh my God, I would rather die.
Right, to even have that phrase come out of your mouth, you would like vomit. I mean, that is like seriously disturbed. And you're made to think that she is sort of she's known for being like this embellisher because then she starts
compulsive liar. I
compulsive liar. She starts like spinning these lies like it's just her second nature about her family, how her mom was a prostitute and ran away with her pimp, how her dad's in jail, and this boyfriend saved her from a life on the streets. I mean, just keeps going and going and going. So that's like what you're made to think. So I guess like she was very easily, it was easy for her to just jump right on that story. But
like the consequences of saying that your father is actually your boyfriend, and P.S. you're 16 years old and he's telling people he's your father so that he doesn't get in trouble. The consequence of that is horrifying.
I know.
Does she? And I'm also confused why nothing happened. Like, did somebody call the police? Like this is a child abuse basically that is like happening around everyone, and everyone's like, "You're disgusting, man. You're gross," because they all think he's this like pedophile, and it's so weird. And like, he's right. It's not like her dad's not there. Her dad's literally like right there. Like the associate. I just like could not believe she would ever do that. It was just so bizarre.
She wants that first kiss so bad.
Oh my God, there's going to be a million other opportunities for first kiss. Calm down, girlfriend.
She just wanted that guy so bad. So they end up so this gets like talked about at the resort. So as Sweetie said, people start being like, "Oh my God, like that's his girlfriend. He's a pedophile. Like, ew." Though like some of the guys are like, "Right on, man." Like these creepy little dorky friends that he makes, like with these other couples that are there, like are actually like don't think it's creepy, and it's just their wives that do, and that was kind of gross in itself. So then Nikki's little plan starts to work because the boy, what's his name? Ooh, Ben starts getting like a little bit jealous and starts like they go water skiing and he almost kills poor Andy there. Good thing Andy was an amazing water skier because he stayed up on those water skis like throughout that entire terrible ride.
He can play the piano.
He's really like multi-talented. But he like almost kills him because he's like, well, what do I care if I break his neck? That guy's just like a dirtbag. So he's like your boyfriend, and
like
you're
I
so
get you
young
away from
and
him.
all that stuff. So
and
it's just like.
Yeah, and she keeps going to him like crying, like he's like every time her dad is like upsets her in some way, whether it's like talking about the possibility of having children or like what have you, she like runs away crying to Ben and is like, "I hate him so much. I'm gonna leave him. He's so awful." And like I don't know what she's telling him he's doing that's so awful, but like that is fucked up. That like Ben thinks like she's in trouble and like actually being abused and like whatever. It was so twisted.
So then she's kind of like trying to make the Ben guy jealous. Meanwhile, like to make him jealous, she acts like a little bit nicer to her dad. She's giving him kisses in public and being all snuggly. So the dad like thinks she's being all sweet when really she's just doing that to show like to trick people that like they're being intimate or whatever.
To make Ben jealous.
Yeah, it gets really, really shady. And this kind of builds, like Sweetie said, she goes crying to Ben one night because she sits down to dinner with her dad and is like, they kind of have this heart to heart, and she's talks about how upset that he has been dating this other woman, and really this other woman has replaced her, and once, knows that she really wants to get married to him. And once they get married, they're going to have another baby. And then she's not going to be like daddy's little girl anymore because daddy's going to have another baby to take care of. So she runs away crying, and that's, as Sweetie said, to the Ben guy, and he is like, you need to leave him. I have a boat. Like, we can hide on this boat together. And she's like, it's not that simple. Yeah, it's not that simple. He's your dad. So it just gets, like, shadier and shadier. Finally, like, the dad goes and gets her. Finds out that she's at Ben's family's house, goes and gets her, and they're like fighting over her and like, you're coming with me. You're coming with me. Finally, she's like, I'm not coming with anybody, and like runs away back to the hotel. So then it's kind of this weird, like, okay, they're like fighting over quote unquote this girl, even though Andy really isn't because it's his daughter. So again, weirdness. Then finally she confesses to Andy that, the jig is up. Oops, I told everybody you were my very old boyfriend. Does he get mad? Not really.
No. And instead of, he's mad. He gets mad for like a second and a half, a beat maybe. And then she's like, oh, but daddy, please, can you please keep this lie up so that he'll like me still? And he's like, sure. And so then it gets even fucking weirder because then you have this dad pretending to be his daughter's boyfriend, but like not wanting to. But like, oh my God, it just got worse. Like, yeah.
But in
I don't understand this rationale. And like,
creepy.
Really? He wouldn't be excited. Ben wouldn't be like, oh my God, okay, you're not in a twisted psycho relationship. Your mom's not a prostitute. You're just a normal 16-year-old girl. Heck yeah, I want to date you. Like, oops. Yeah, maybe that's not something you learn until you're older, but whatever.
Yeah.
Try it.
And the creepy but also kind of heartwarming thing that happens is that in this, it sounds like they're trying to spin the Andy character as like a real romantic. He's French, so that's like his whole shtick. And he knows how, like, about dating and romance, so he becomes like her tutor a little bit and like what she should be doing to win over this Ben guy, and he's gonna help her. So at the same time, in this like twisted web of weirdness, they are starting to grow closer and repair their relationship as father-daughter because they're working towards this end goal of like her being with Ben. So it kind of it gets even stranger.
It turns into Cyrano de Bergerac, which is interesting because he was in Cyrano de Bergerac and he has a big nose. So it's totally. It's confusing. Meta.
So then the Ben guy, like, she has like come over and meet him. Like, she tells Ben that she has to stay with him because he's dying. He has a heart condition and he's only going to be alive for the next couple weeks or something like that. Yeah. So in the Ben guy's mind, he's like, oh, okay, like he'll be out of the picture soon, I guess. And like, I'll go and meet him. So then Ben goes and meets him, and then they become buddies.
Because she lied and was like, he was this amazing war hero in the like 100-year war, which was like in the medieval times, and and he was like a spy and like has all these stories. So he's like, he's also spinning all these yarns, like just like his, this is probably where she gets it from because he is really at heart a storyteller. Yep. So he's somehow an amazing storyteller / writer, pianist, water skier, and he's like probably 7.5 and change feet tall. Like this dude is huge, and he's like bulky. Like I just don't believe he's doing all that stuff.
He's got a stomach.
Yeah, but anyways, so it all comes to a head one day when Nikki decides to like go out windsurfing by herself or whatever, too close to the reef. Things get dicey. She falls into the water. Is like, help me. And then they can't get the boat up and running, so like Ben can't save her. So Andy has to swim out to rescue her. However, they get the boat started up just fine and go and rescue her. And then they're like, what about Andy? And they're like, forget about him. And she's like, no.
Andy got a Charlie horse.
Yeah, he gets like a cramp. And then she lets loose the word like, daddy, you have to save daddy. So like, Freudian, this, it comes out, the slip. And Ben hears it, and he's like, what the fuck? What a fucking creepy ass thing. And so he leaves her like a note under the door that's like in an envelope. What boy's like, let me write this card and stick it in an envelope?
No. So he wrote that to her before, remember? Because they're like at dinner and Andy is playing this like beautiful piano music. He's like a concert pianist, and he's playing this song he used to play to her. And this is before Ben knows that that's her dad. And she's looking at him so longly and is like, oh, man, he used to play this to me, like to put me to sleep.
Oh,
blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
She said to put me to sleep. And it was like, think about that for a minute, Ben. Like,
yeah, like, as
what
a
does
little
that
kid.
mean?
Right. There were signs there, and he just like wasn't paying attention. So he writes this note saying, you know, I've known from the beginning that you really are in love with him. Like, I think it's best if we never see each other again. And so that's why she goes windsurfing like by herself and kind of goes nuts. Yeah.
So then, but then she like shows up, you know, her dad's like, we can still win him back or whatever. Like, I really want you to have this first. Like, what dad's like, oh my God, I'll do everything in my power to get you your first kiss with this boy I don't know. Like, it's just like all around bizarre. Most dads are like, you're not dating until you're 18, and like you really have to talk them off that ledge. So like this was just
that's
really
how he
started
started.
For me.
You know, seeing the men
that
approach
to this,
her and
like,
stuff like that.
What kind of like blackmail does she have over him?
Well, I think that woman kind of told him, you know, the woman at the resort who was initially like interested in him to date, but then realized once he wasn't single, like they just were kind of buddies. And she told him all about a girl, all they want, like between the ages of 14 and 90 is to like have a real romance or something like that. So he's like, oh, okay, like this is what she really wants.
She needs this, Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I still think she lives in New York City. She's going to have a romance. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, I don't understand the urgency, but whatever. Obviously, men want little girls to grow up really fast. It's a tough time to be, you're not a girl, not yet a woman, as Brittany would say. So it's an awkward period. But anyway, so, pivotal scene, she's standing like outside his balcony and Andy's like crouched below her, exactly like Cyrano de Bergerac, like mouthing her lines and she's saying them. And so it works. And then everything's fine. I believe they finally tell everyone the truth.
No,
she's like, I'm not going to tell you. What?
He knew on the boat when she was calling him daddy. Like, that's his dad.
Oh, I thought he just thought that was like a weird, like sometimes girls call their boyfriends daddy and it's like gross.
No, he knew then, like that's
But then what was the thing she had to tell him at the dance?
That she just like loved him and missed him. That was
she
in the
said, I love you in the balcony though. That was like the last line. It was like, I love you.
Yeah, that's what she had to tell him. Like, and she was going to tell him that at the dance, but he's like, I'm not going to the dance. You have to tell me now. And then she's like,
but then
I love you. I miss you.
Show up at the dance.
He did show up at the dance.
Yeah, but like you didn't think he was going to, and she was like really sad about it. Weird.
It's okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm confused.
He shows up at the dance, and then they make out.
And then she has her first kiss, and her dad's watching lovingly in the distance. Again, would never happen in a million billion years. And Isabel, Andy's girlfriend, finally picks up the phone and accepts his marriage proposal and his proposal to have children. So everything's great.
Which was sketchy in itself because the whole movie, it was confusing because you don't know whether like she's talking to him or it's an answering machine. And in all cases, it's an answering machine. Because he's like calling his answering
very much
service.
like she was talking to him.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Right? Okay, so that was confusing. So, but then you realize that he is calling and answering a service. So they're just like going back and forth with messages. He's listening to hers. He's leaving her these other messages. So he's leaving. She's not picking up. Essentially, she's screening her phone calls. And then as soon as he's like, "Will you marry me?" She stops screening and she's like, "Yes, ha ha, yay!" Like. Kind of crappy. Like, let's have a conversation.
Well, this is all, again, men's interpretation of what women want. Like, I just want a proposal. I just want true love. Like, we want other things too, and that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. So let that be a lesson to you, male writers. But they read that, weren't they gonna make her older, and they decided to make her younger? That's just like... really creeped me out.
Yeah, I think 14 was too young for this. I think it would have made a little bit more sense to be 16 or 18, a firm 16 or 18. And I think it would have been far less creepy. I don't know. Because 14 just seems too young to be into almost boys that much.
To be
I
into
guess.
boys and to be a father and let that just happen.
Yeah.
Just would never happen. And it's not even old fashioned because like obviously like when we watched She's Out of Control, like he was overboard, right? I don't even remember that much about that movie, but I just remember us being like, ew, like weird dad things. Like why is he so obsessed with his daughter? Like this was like the opposite and like it didn't really make sense to me.
Totally. And like again, like we said, like guys ogling a 14-year-old at a pool is just very inappropriate. That's a child. I mean, that is not, that's not correct. Like we said, she was 14, the real actress, and the actor she's making out with is 22. Again, inappropriate. Like I hope they don't do that anymore. That feels gross to me. And just is not right. I guess the whole thong bathing suit scene, like Katherine Heigl has talked about how uncomfortable she was with that scene ended up being in the preview. So like everyone she went to school with saw that scene, saw her bare ass cheeks.
Nightmare.
She's like, I grew up as a Mormon and like, this is obviously like not what we did. Like, was that really a scene? Like, I mean, it was, I guess like some yucks and comic relief, but like
not really.
Ew.
It shows that she's like a risk taker and like she's mature. Like it was totally unnecessary, gratuitous,
gratuitous butt
porn on. Yeah, just like really stupid. I didn't really write down much because I was just like so annoyed by the fact that this existed. But what else?
I will say I did like all of her clothes. This didn't have like the kind of ugly 90s clothes that tends to like happen in the 90s. Like, I mean, there was like a good deal of crop tops, but like not a lot of neon, not a lot of lace. She was very classy dresser. I really loved like all of her outfits.
Well, I was going to say kind of like athleisure, like nothing, like a lot of like sweats and like, but like fancy sweats. Yeah, like the precursor to juicy sweatsuits or something was like some of her outfits here.
And just like really like nice casual dresses, and I think other than the bikini, the thong bikini, all her other bathing suits were like pretty modest. I mean, she had some pretty modest like one pieces that she threw out there. Loved her rocking her inside out French braid, which again you don't see that much anymore. Love it. I'm going to remind everyone that time I went out with this guy, and on his dating profile, he said, I don't understand why girls wear French braids. They look like dinosaurs. And I was immediately turned off by that.
I mean, I kind of agree. I feel like I look like a dinosaur every time I have a French braid because it's like too puffy. And I'm like, I don't know.
I like a French braid, but I'll never forget that. I think I did end up going out with that guy, but it always stuck out at me like, wow, that's something to write in your profile, huh? Like, that's really important to you, huh? Like, okay, that just like knocks out like 25% of women. But yeah, so like loved her style. The soundtrack of this movie was based entirely of songs, as I guess they were in the movie too, by the Baha Men. Sweetie, what is the Baha Men's most #1 song on Spotify?
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? The song that keeps on getting any movie that has a dog that features dogs as the main character, you're gonna hear that song. It's just a classic. But I was shocked because I really thought so. It's like, is the house band played by the Baha Men? Like, is that the Baha Men?
I think so.
Or were those just actors and they were like lip syncing?
That's something to look at. But like literally the whole soundtrack is the Baha Men.
So funny. It really sounded like the weirdest fake songs that like anyone could ever create. I just kept being like, these are so weird. Yeah. House band. It was called like Drum Beat.
The Baha Men because they're from the Bahamas.
Oh my god. Wow. Is that what Baha is? Is that short for Bahamas? Or does that mean something? So. I guess so.
I always thought it was spelled like the Baja Peninsula, like Baja.
Oh.
That's what I thought it was, but I think it is BAHA.
Well, let's just do a quick
Yeah,
look.
you look that up.
Baha
Who let the dog? I feel like I
Men.
should play that song for Sweetie Junior, and she'd really get a kick out of it.
Do it, yeah. Yeah, she would like it. Oh, no, but don't, because then she would request it all the time. Yeah, they're formed in New Providence, Bahamas in
Yes.
1977.
Oh my
wow.
God. You guys,
Who fucking knew they've been around
this is
for
the
that
best thing
long?
I've
Like,
learned all week.
I'm going to spread the word on this.
I know.
Like, guys, Baha Men, been around since the 70s. Also, did you know they're from the Bahamas, and that's what Baha is? Like,
Oh
wow.
my
Didn't
God.
know that.
So
wow,
great.
wow. Sure.
So great.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I have was the beginning of this. Okay, so this is a Touchstone Pictures movie, and I just get such a wave of nostalgia when the Touchstone like thing rolls at the beginning of a 90s movie, because I feel like it was like very well featured in 90s movies.
Which one is that again?
Okay, it's the blue bar that goes across the screen, and then there's like a lightning bolt that comes in. Just Google it and tell me what you think.
Doing a lot of Googling tonight.
Touchstone intro or something.
Touchstone intro. Oh, yeah.
I mean, doesn't that just take you back?
Is that a lightning bolt? I just
Is
thought
it a
that-
lightning
I always
bolt?
thought
What
that
is
was
it?
just like a yellow thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I recognize it.
Oh yeah,
I'm familiar.
And that like rolled across the screen before the movie started, and I was like, I feel good, feeling good. Like, just remind me of 90s, and we always talk about how
Yeah.
90s is just like
Safe
like
place.
warm electric blanket, like weighted blanket, like decade of just like, oh, like we were so, obviously we were kids, we were taken care of, we weren't
Nothing was
stressed out
wrong.
adults. We didn't have to fend for ourselves, and it's just like a happy time
right.
for us. So, yep, that's what the Touchstone logo does for me.
That's what heaven's gonna be. The 90s.
Oh my God, imagine that. That'd be pretty cool. I wouldn't say
great.
no to
It's gonna
that.
be
I would.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's it. We'll have to throw this out to our older sister there and tell her we watched this and see what she remembers. I'm sure she'd be appalled about it now.
Yeah, I'm curious to know. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Who
You
let the
can find us on
dogs out?
You can find us. Would you like to sing more, Baha Men, before we go?
They had like another big song that I recognize too, but I don't remember what it is.
Let's
Well,
do a fourth Googling.
Let's
Baha
Google it.
Men's other song was called oh wow. Not a lot. It's all just Who Let the Dogs Out.
Wow.
Here we go.
No,
List of
there's
songs
none.
by Baha Men. Night and Day, Off the Leash. Wow, really went with the dog theme. Ride With Me. I'm going to have to listen to these on Spotify. We may have to get back to the fans.
We'll get back
with
to
what
There's
we
another
found.
one
Or
that
maybe-
I recognize that I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and maybe one of our fans will know.
Maybe we have a big Baha Men fan on this podcast.
I'd be curious to meet anyone who considers themselves a Baha Men fan. Okay. Who Let Dogs Out? Popular. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, no one's talking about it. Like, it's weird.
Think you have
Like,
to
I'm
look
trying
on
to
Spotify.
see. Okay, their other songs are Dancing in the Moonlight, Who Let the Dogs Out, we know. You All Dat, Best Years of Our Lives, Move It Like This, and topping it off
move
with
it like
We
this.
Rubbin'.
Maybe.
Move It Like This? Maybe. Released February 2002? It's kind of late.
Maybe I'm thinking of the song "I Like to Move It, Move It." That's not that song, is it?
It was in the soundtrack for the comedy film Big Fat Liar, starring Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Just one of life's great mysteries. The other Baha Men song.
I think there probably isn't one. Let's be real, but we'll
maybe
look
you're
into it.
thinking of UB40 or someone else.
Maybe.
Or Shaggy. Girl, you're my angel.
Stop! I
You're
can't
my
with that song.
darling
No, it's my least favorite song
angel.
of all time.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
hate it.
Would you prefer It Wasn't
hate
Me?
That's one of my favorite
It
songs.
wasn't me.
I'm hot and cold with Shaggy. I have one of my songs is his
Wait,
favorite.
that
of all
one's one of
time,
your
and
favorite
Angel is
songs?
my like least favorite song of all
Oh
time.
my god.
I know.
Hilarious.
I know.
Love it. Okay. Anyways, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.